Hey folks, welcome to Horsemanship 101 again today. We're going to do this one in the barn because it's real windy out and I don't have the wind filter on my camera today, so audio would be pretty much done. I want to talk about something that I've touched on in several different aspects of it and in various videos, including catching my horse and stuff like that. What I want to talk about today is leaving a horse out in pasture with a halter on. In fact, I'll extend that as far as if the thing's out of sight or you turn your back on it for even a minute, don't leave a halter on. Now, a lot of people actually have a couple reasons for it. The number one reason is my horse is hard to catch and it's hard to halter. So I leave the halter on because it's too hard to put the halter on. Lazy. There's no other word for it but lazy. And in fact, I got two sayings. One is nothing takes longer than getting in a hurry, and the other is that being lazy, there's no more work than being lazy. And I explain that is because if you don't train your horse to accept the halter, leaving the halter on is the lazy way of remedying the problem, and that's just a symptom. Like I said, there's problems and there's symptoms, and most of the things that we see as a problem are actually just a symptom of another problem. And chances are, if you have a problem getting a halter on your horse, you're going to have a lot of other problems. Stop being friggin' lazy. Get out there. Teach your horse how to take a halter, how to be caught, and you're going to save yourself a lot of grief in the long run. Now, here's how easy it is. Now, occasionally she has a bit of an attitude, says no, turns her head away, but most days it's as easy as this. We put the halter on. Simple as that. There, done. Halter's on. Now, a lot of people will say when they see that is, oh, well, you got one of those horses that's easy to halter. She wasn't always this way. In fact, when I got her, putting a halter on was really, really difficult. And she was incredibly head shy and extremely hard to catch. Even knowing how to do it right, it still took me anywhere from 15 minutes to half an hour to catch her. And then putting a halter on, if I didn't do it right, she'd bolt off and forget it. I got to start all over again. I got to go catch her and then try again. So don't think for a second that it was easy. But I'll tell you what, I go out in the pasture now and I catch her without a lead and halter. So yeah, it took time. It took effort. But in the end, if I'm going to have this horse for several years, and I plan on keeping her for the rest of her life, actually, I kind of grown fond of this little girl, and it's going to save me a lot of work. So if I was to be lazy and just simply leave a halter on because it's hard to catch her, you know what? I'm always going to have problems catching her. I'm not fixing the problems. I'm just addressing a symptom by leaving a halter on, and in the end, it's still going to be hard to catch her every day, day after day, and you figure it out over the course of a few years. And am I saving anything by leaving a halter on her? No, actually I'm not at all. In fact, that's the laziest thing you can do, and it's going to create more work for you. Because if you don't train your horse to accept the halter and be caught, and I've done a few other videos where I've touched on these subjects, and I've done a few videos where I show how I can lead this horse in from the pasture without a lead or halter, how easy it is to catch her. She comes to me, and like I said, it wasn't always that way. Did I have to put in some time and work? Sure, I did, but it's worth it. And anybody that leaves a halter on, you're asking for trouble, because I've seen several articles, news articles lately where horses have been injured to the point where they had to be euthanized. One died as a result of getting tangled up with a halter on. I personally know of one nearby here. They thought halter training their little horse was, the way to do it was just put the halter on and leave it on. The horse would get used to having the halter on. The horse ended up getting, it was scratching its face on a fence post or a rail or whatever, I don't know, and it ended up getting tangled up. It did have managed to eventually break free, got the halter off, but to this day you can't get near that horse with a halter because of the trauma that it experienced because of the halter. Now, did they save anything by doing that? No. All they did was cause more problems. They were being lazy, and in the end, all that ended up happening is now they're going to have a whole lot more work to ever get that horse halter trained and be able to handle it. So nothing was saved. Just down the road, there's a fellow that's got a couple horses there, and He never leaves the halters on his, but I noticed all of a sudden instead of 2, there's 4 horses in his pasture now, and 2 of them have halters on, which just made me cringe when I saw that, because I don't care if you use breakaway halters or what kind of halters you use. I've never seen a breakaway halter around here. You can't buy them around here. I've heard of them lots. Apparently you can get them in other places. They aren't available around here. Simple as that. And it's still just a lazy excuse. Some people say, well, I like to use breakaway halters because they're safe. If the horse gets tangled, they will break. And in an emergency, we can still go catch the horse. Well, I'll tell you what. You properly train that horse to accept a halter, and in an emergency, you just take your horse like this. You grab your halter, and in a matter of seconds, oh, she doesn't want to take it today. I'm moving too fast for her. She didn't like that. There we go. Okay. A matter of seconds. Time me. Go ahead. How long does it take me to put a halter on my horse? And this is a horse that is scared of ropes and straps and such. Head shy. There. She's got a halter on her. How long did that take? Was there an emergency? I don't care. If there was, that's how long it takes. How long does it take to go out and catch a horse that doesn't know how to be caught just because it's got a breakaway halter on it and you can catch it quick in an emergency and put a lead on a halter that it's already got on it? Are you saving anything? No. This one is, I've trained her to take a halter. I've trained her to be caught. So in an event of an emergency, I can go out and catch her in a heck of a hurry. You know, there it is. Don't be lazy. Don't leave halters on. It's a recipe for disaster. Horses have died because of it. Horses have been injured because of it. And in the end, you're not going to save a darn thing. You're actually going to make matters worse. It's going to be harder for you. You're not saving anything by leaving a halter on your horse. If you don't take the time to train the horse properly to accept the halter and to be caught, you're not addressing a whole lot of other issues that the horse already has. These things are just symptoms. Remember, there's symptoms and there's problems. And not taking a halter, that's just a symptom. And if you don't address that, you're not addressing the problems that exist, and you're going to have a whole lot of other problems with that horse that are never going to go away. And in the end, it's going to make your time with your horse a whole lot more miserable. It's going to create a lot more work for you, and that's what it is. There's no easy way of doing things. So please don't leave a halter on your horse. If you care about the horse, do not leave a halter on it ever. Not even if you turn your back for a minute. You'll see this horse in my videos frequently without a halter on because A, I don't need to, and B, I won't leave one on her unless I'm standing there looking at her. That's the only time she's ever got a halter on her, or actually if I'm riding her, because I ride in a halter, but I don't let her out of my sight with a halter on. Simple as that, because it's simply not safe. I'm not saving anything by not training her properly to accept the halter. It's more work in the end, so you're not gaining nothing by leaving the halter on. You're endangering the horse. You're creating more work for yourself, so use your head. Deal with the problem, address it, train your horse, okay? Okay, now I don't like doing training videos per se. I just want people to think about things. I want to talk about problems. A lot of the things that the point of my videos isn't so much to show you how to do things, but to tell you that you can do it. And the information's out there. But I'm going to actually just a couple quick little things here that work with this horse. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to work with your horse because, as I've said in many videos, every horse is different. There's no one right way to do things. But when I first got her, she was very hard to catch, very hard to approach, almost impossible to put a halter on. But what I did is I'd walk up, and when I finally did catch her, because she'd run in circles, she'd just turn around, keep turning her head away from me. And I wouldn't give up, and she learned that, eventually I'm the guy that's not going away, because, and it was a lot of effort, because sometimes I'd have to run 10 laps, because she's just turning around on her own diameter. I got to run about a 20-foot circle around her to stay in front of her. So that she doesn't just walk off, because as long as I'm ahead of her, she just keeps turning. She won't go anywhere, and we used to do that. We go round, 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 and eventually she learned that, hey, this guy isn't going away. Okay, let's just stop turning around. And finally she'd let me come up to her, and I'd just gently pet her up, talk to her nice, maybe give her a treat or something. And then when she wasn't looking, I just slowly slip the lead over her neck, which I always have hanging around my neck anyhow. I always have one over my shoulder. And gently, slowly, because she didn't like ropes and stuff. Once I caught her, like this. Now, this was no guarantee she wasn't going anywhere. If I moved too fast, she could still bolt, and she'd yank this rope out of my hand in a flash. And she did that a few times too. But okay, I did this very slowly. Now, what some people actually like to do when they're haltering a horse is they actually like to have the lead already attached to the halter, like this. So now, you already got your lead going over your horse. You got the halter attached to the lead. So now it's just a matter of very slowly, because with her, she was really nervous about ropes and straps and such, so I had to do this extra slow, especially this part here where it came to bringing the rope up. I'd reach over, and I'd very slowly bring it up over, nice and easy, and then do it up. Well, I actually used a web halter for this at the time, because that's what she came with. Whatever, it doesn't matter. So, anyhow, now at this point, I've got my horse. It's attached. Got a lead around its neck. She's not going anywhere. And she actually wasn't too bad once the halter was on. I didn't have a big fight with her, but she was still pretty nervous. So a lot of times all I'd do is I'd just pat her up, tell her she's a good girl, undo the halter, take it off, and walk away. And I would repeat that day after day. All I'd do is put the halter on, pet her up, tell her she's a good girl, take the halter off, walk away. Pretty soon, the halter wasn't an issue because she didn't care. And it's like, oh, yeah, he's just going to tell me I'm a good girl and go away. Sometimes I give her a treat. So there was absolutely nothing bad about the halter. I didn't, she had an aversion to it, to being caught, because, that meant being abused or being put to work or whatever. I don't know what happened in her past entirely, but, this is one of those things where you don't want to make your tack, in this case a halter, you don't want to associate it, you don't want a tack aversion. So one of the ways you do that is by simply making it a non-issue. So I'd go up, when I'd catch her, sometimes I wouldn't even put the halter on. I'd just catch her, put the rope around her neck, hand her a treat, tell her she's a good girl, take the rope off her neck and walk away. And I'd do this over and over again, and day after day. And yeah, it takes a long time. It takes days. It might take you a month. It might take 2 months just to halter train your horse. But in the end, well, look what I got. I don't have to catch her. I don't have a problem getting a halter on her. It's that simple. Make it a non-issue. Make it an event that the horse actually looks forward to. It's like, oh yeah, he's going to come give me a treat. He's putting a halter on me. That's okay. He's going to give me a scratch and a pet. He's going to make me happy. He's going to tell me I'm a good girl. That's all it is. It's that simple. Do it over and over again. Don't associate the tack with being caught. Don't associate the halter with anything negative at all. And pretty soon, you aren't going to have a problem catching your horse at all. And you aren't going to have any problem at all putting your halter on. Now, there's a dozen different ways of doing it. You can watch videos after videos, watch article after, or read article after article. There's lots of ways of doing it. Like I said, there's no one right way of doing it. And what works with my horse doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work with your horse or any other horse. And but the bottom line is, the basic is, make the halter a non-issue. Don't make it a negative thing. Don't make it that when the horse sees that, it's going to get put to work. It's going to be given orders. It's going to be abused. There's absolutely nothing negative about the halter at all. Every time it sees that halter, it means a good thing. And that's what you want. You want everything you do with your horse to be a good thing. You want the horse to associate everything you do with it to be a good thing. And that's how you do it. And it might take you a little time. It might take a little effort. But you know what? In the long run, it's sure a whole lot easier. Have a good day, folks.